Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name is Charles McGilvray and as always I'm joined by Jess Kevill and Simon Stacey. This week Jess is a bit under the weather, so if you hear a bit of a croaky voice, do not adjust your sets. This episode is another special edition where we've got a special guest. Born in Madrid, Spain, he started his playing at Southend Rugby Club. He actually captained Saints in the under-18s as a back rower before converting to prop later on. He was voted the club's breakthrough player in the 2019-2020 season. 4 caps for the England under-20s. He's made his England A debut on Sunday. 60 appearances for the Saints, 2 tries. Saint 2029. Emmanuel Iyogun. How you doing, Manny?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you, Charles?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for coming on. How's the body feeling after yesterday? What was that experience like?
Yeah, pretty amazing, to be honest. A very sort of unique experience in the sense that you're sort of put together like the Avengers in a week. Expected to play on the weekend. So yeah, it was awesome. New faces, new coaches. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's really interesting because it's not even like, some of the internationals where they get weeks away training to build those patterns and those understandings in. My understanding is you were literally pulled together a week before the game and then expected to go out and play, the Aussie A side. How is that when you've got completely new coaching group with new messaging, new ideas, a whole host of players from different clubs that have got their experiences, etc.? Is that the real difficulty in those sort of sides?
Yeah, well, I think it's got the potential to be a very challenging thing. But the gift that we get is that we're actually working with, first of all, players that are built for adapting and adapting to new systems, adapting to new coaches, and then coaches who actually know exactly how to manage different players. So going into a system, an environment where you're with players at the top of their game and coaches that are at the top of their game, it makes things like that very easy. And you sort of come in and they outline a system which you're going to play to. And as long as everyone buys in, it makes the whole week very easy.
Right, okay. And is there a clear difference, though, in the sort of that approach to things? You had, was it Nathan Catt was the Scrum guru?
Yeah.
What sort of messaging is difference between, say, Nathan Catt and Matt Ferguson at the Saints? Is there a big difference?
I wouldn't say so. The Scrum fundamentals are pretty similar. In terms of system, it can be different, but you only have a week, so there wouldn't be any point of sort of hammering a completely radically different Scrum system or difference in setups and stuff like that. But what is worked on is just trying to get cohesion and harmony between hooker and your props. So just making sure that we're all doing the same thing, pulling in the same direction. That's the sort of emphasis, as opposed to learning a new structure or learning a new sort of way of scrummaging or a new way of playing.
Right. Okay. And you obviously managed to do what the first team couldn't do and get a win against the Aussies. What was it like getting a win at that level for the first time?
Well, yeah, different challenge. But yeah, it was awesome in terms of that Aussie group had been together, obviously, a week before we had, and they'd obviously played a game as well. So to come out and put a performance in which we actually played some pretty free-flowing rugby at times was actually pretty awesome. And it's a credit to the boys that played. But yeah, I think as a group, we focused on cohesion and we focused on just being brave and just sort of going out there and playing with our chests sort of open. So I think that showed at times, which is pretty awesome.
And what was it like? Was it easier, you think, because there was 6-7 Saints in that environment? Was it helped by having them around?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's obviously always helps having familiar faces. It's also a bit funny because you obviously play against a lot of the players that are in that setup for a long time, and you have a perception of them in your head. But when you go into camp, everyone's normal, everyone's pretty funny, everyone's pretty similar. So it is nice sort of seeing familiar things about actually building bonds with players that are not necessarily from your club.
Yeah, it sort of segues us into what I want to start with as well. Is we normally start about how how the individual first got into the game, and so first of all, you were born in Madrid, is that right?
I was, yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, it was sort of, my parents were originally from Nigeria, and they sort of had a job opportunity in Spain, moved to Spain together, and then, had my sister and myself in Spain, grew up there until I was 3, so I moved pretty young. But my parents had lived there for quite a long time, so absorbed a bit of the culture. And so it was a bit of a odd story when I tell people I was born in Madrid, but I really enjoyed it, and it was quite a nice sunny start to life, I'd say.
Yeah, it helps having a European passport as well.
Yeah.
So getting back to the rugby then. So you started through Southend Rugby Club. What got you into the game? What first sort of coming from the background you come from, etc. What brought you into rugby?
Yeah, I started from Basildon Rugby Club. That was my local club, and then I moved to Southend. My sort of journey to rugby was a lot later than the sort of stereotypical journey, in the sense that I started when I was like 14, 15. Loved football, was a massive football fan, supported Chelsea. I know a lot of listeners will probably hate me for that, but loved Chelsea and wanted to be a footballer, like just the sort of lad dream of like wanting to become a footballer. And I had a few PE teachers at my school who were very keen on rugby, very wanted to introduce rugby to sort of our football-centric year 11 group. And I was pretty athletic, pretty reasonable at most ball games, and I was massive. I was pretty big when I was 14, 15. So they sort of pushed me in the direction of, you're probably too big to be a football player. We'll sort of guide you into rugby. Sort of started playing in the centre and at wing. And then I've slowly, eventually progressed to the front row all the way from there. But that's my sort of beginning and start to rugby.
And that transition into the front row. So you played at the under 18 level as a back row, as an 8, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I moved from centre to sort of back row 8 to eventually front row in my under 18s, yeah.
So on that, Manny, was that a weird change for you? Because I'll quote Ferguson's quote, which has been said many times. He said that you had a rather large rear is what excited him about you. So obviously you saw potential from your derriere, let's say. So what was it like moving from the back row to being a prop? Because that is a massive change.
It is a massive change. It was difficult at the beginning, as you could imagine. But I think in essence, a lot of the skills that you pick up from playing 8 in terms of offloading, ball carrying, a lot of your functional position skills, you sort of benefit having that up front row, because that front row, maybe you don't always get sort of coached in that direction, or you don't necessarily have that at the forefront of your mind. So I almost had to learn backwards in terms of, I just had to learn how to scrum, which taken a while, and to be honest, I think it's a lifelong process in terms of actually fully understanding the dark arts of, I know people always say the dark scrumming, but it truly is a dark art. So I think it was difficult to start off with, but I'm now reaping the benefits, in the sense that I don't have to think necessarily too much about skills that maybe other props have to sort of think about, without blowing my own trumpet too much. Yeah.
No, it's a very good thing to do, and it just changed. But you said you played centre to Charles a minute ago. At first, you started as centre. So going back to England, what was the experience like? Because you've been called up to the England squad as well. So what was that like, being with all the England boys, just totally different atmosphere to being at the Saints, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Different atmosphere in terms of, I think this is unlike most England experiences in terms of getting called up to the first team, in the sense that there is notably a lot less pressure. You have a week to train together, so things are a lot less complicated. There's not too much preview stuff because they'd only played a game before us. So the focus and onus is on you in terms of what we can bring to the game and what we're good at. So very positive. Really, really nice week to go into in terms of how we gelled as a team in a week's time and how that helped us to sort of get a performance on Sunday. So yeah, it was a refreshing experience, I'd say.
It was. The reason Charles mentioned the Australia thing is because he's Australian, by the way, just to let you know that. The only other bit is that what do you think now then? Now you've made the A's, what do you think you need to do or show the coaches to step up to the first team?
That's a good question, to be honest, and it's in my mind, in terms of elite performance, it always goes back to a level of consistency. Elite coaches look at players and they want to see the same performance, or they want to see a level of performance that's at a standard game after game after game after game, and that is what you as an elite performer strive for. And so, in terms of what an sort of an England coach would be looking at, they'll be looking at my game now compared to my game at week 20, 21 at the end of the season, and seeing what does that look like. Are you improving? Are you getting better? Are you sticking to a level? Are you staying at a level which we can say is world class? Because you do need to be operating at a level which is far and beyond Premiership to sort of operate at international level or even be considered internationally. So that's the goal, that's the aim, is just to be more consistent game to game, and to provide a performance where people are looking at it and going, yeah, wow.
Fair enough. Yeah, just one thing. I went from lock to front row, not obviously at the level you're at, but it's mental, isn't it? What made you loose head? Was that your choice, or was that Fergus's choice, or you didn't fancy tight head, or can you play tight head?
If I'm completely honest, tight head's a lot more difficult. Tight it's a lot more difficult. You have to be a lot heavier to be a tight head. Which actually not in all cases, but most of the time you sort of look at someone and you know whether they're a tight head or a loose head. I tried. I think the general standing is that if you're getting a young prop in, you try him at tight head. If it doesn't work, you chuck him at loose head. My case, and I think with me being back row, I'm obviously maybe a little bit more handy around the park, which obviously pushes your susceptibility more to loose head.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's hard to contribute as much as you want to, and you're trying to hold up a scrum every 5 minutes.
Yes.
But great for those tight heads, Someone like Tag Furlong, how the hell they do it, who knows,
Yeah, he's a monster, that guy.
Just picking up on one of Si's questions there about the difference with aiming for that England top squad sort of thing. You obviously went into camp in New Zealand. What was that experience like?
Pretty unique again. Pretty different in the sense of how you'd normally get called into a camp, in the sense that I sort of got called. I got a call when I was just at Silverstone on the weekend, and then I got a flight out the next day, and it was like a 23-hour round trip. So yeah, it was pretty intense, but sort of when I got there, and just in terms of like camp life and eating times, meetings, training, it was another step up. And you sort of go into those camps and you come back home and you get like a real hunger for wanting to do it again. and that just comes from the level of training, and just sort of admiring the players that you're also being named alongside. So yeah, like, I think the more you get put into environments like that, the more it just gives you hunger to sort of want to do it again.
Yeah. So coming back to what you said about, it links in nicely with kind of the questions I want to ask in terms of Saints, but you talked about for them to think about getting, the main team in terms of England, about that kind of level of consistency. Is that one of the key focuses that you thought of as you headed into the new season at Northampton? So we spoke to Tom Lockett a few weeks ago, who said that his particular aim this season was to make every single 23, which obviously has been hampered by injury. But did you have a kind of aim on the similar line of just being picked consistently so that you can get those performances under your belt?
Yeah, I completely hear that from Lockett. I don't necessarily agree in terms of you don't decide whether you get picked or not. That's not something you can control. And I always like to believe that I want to control what I can control. I can control how hard I train, I can control how consistent I am in training, but I can't control whether I get picked. So in terms of that, not necessarily, but in that, when I do get picked, actually, yeah, like, it's now another opportunity which I've got, to go and put my game on the pitch and go and take that opportunity. And every match day 23 in which you're named at has to be looked at as an opportunity. It's the sort of, the more you take that for granted, the more you don't get the performances that you're proud of. So yeah, that's the way I like to think about it.
And in terms of, obviously, with with Alex Waller retiring at the end of the last season, did you feel any kind of extra pressure heading into this season, thinking, I'm one of the top choices for a starting position, or are you still kind of quite relaxed about it as we head into the season?
Yeah, I think I'd be lying if I said that I was relaxed about it. There's definitely is pressure. There's pressure put on yourself and from outside sources, in terms of that. But I've sat down and I still keep quite a really close relationship with Alex. We've sat down, had coffees, and spoke about life and rugby, etc. But at the end of the day, I am my own man, and he's created a legacy for himself, and it's a bloody brilliant one. And that's a legacy that I'm extremely privileged to sort of have a tiny input in the sense that, like, I feel like I'm a little bit like his understudy, and he's taught me so much. And he's helped my journey. He's massively helped my journey, and I never ever take that for granted. But in the same sense, there's a new life to that. Like, there's a new life in terms of I'm a different player. We're not the same people. Like, there's a sense of I've got shoes to fill, but actually I've got my own sort of stamp I need to put on that. So yeah, it's a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think that's an excellent way to look at it, actually, to be fair, because I can imagine that there's got to be a pressure of, like you said, whose boots you're stepping into, that forging your own path. So actually thinking about last season, I'm just going to keep it kind of broad. Like, what was that like from a personal and a team level to be part of that season and that win at the end and the final in particular? What was that like for you?
From a team level, it seemed like the script was already written, and that was always the way it was going to end, in the sense that we constantly in meetings spoke about the last dance for players like Courtney, players like Lewis, players like Sammy Matavesi, Alex Waller. We had so many amazing players that have such a big legacy in the club who were spending their last season here. And you could really, I feel like you could really see that in the way that some of the performances that we had, actually, where we might have lost or we've been close. I think about Leinster away, where we lost. But the fabric of that performance, to sort of go toe to toe with one of the best European sides, was just written for us to win. And then we had some performances where actually we steamrolled teams, but we went back and we were like, actually, if we're being ultra critical, that's not good enough. That's not going to produce a performance where we're going to win in the semi-finals, in the finals. So I think from a team point of view, it was just written in the stars, to be honest, in terms of there was so much desire to go on and bookmark that period of time and those players' careers with something that they could go away with and physically hold. And yeah, from a personal point of view, I had a bit of a stop-start beginning of the season, come back from an Achilles injury, and then ruptured my groin and had to have an operation. I was out for a bit longer than I expected. And then, yeah, the back end of it, I stayed really focused and just tried to sort of come back and find a bit of form when my body actually wasn't feeling too great. So yeah, I'm pretty happy in the way that it ended.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously those big names that left, and I wonder how that kind of factors into like the team's expectations this season, because obviously it's there's a lot of the same players involved, but obviously there's some very big people missing and some new people coming in. So what kind of are the team's expectations this year? Are you going in terms of defensive title, or are you just going in and thinking week by week of, you know, trying to continue to gel as a team, or is there some kind of outcome you're working to, or is it just play it by ear?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think a lot of teams sort of say one thing. They say that a lot of teams would be like, well, we're defending champions, we need to win every game, and they might not act in that way, or culturally from a team point of view they don't train in that sort of way. So it's just lip service. But actually what we've tried to do in terms of coming in is Daz makes a big reference to the fact that this group together hasn't won anything. We might be on paper defending champions, but it's a very different group, and we might have some of the same players, but it's a new year. Like everything's a fresh start, and those performances that we had last year were with different. It was a completely different group. So we have to start and build our foundations again from scratch, and I think we're doing well in terms of finding what our identity is again, and in that rebuild, figuring out where that's going to lead us. And I don't think you're a rugby player. You're definitely not a sportsman if you don't say you want to win every game. No one at the club is resting on their laurels. Everyone wants to win every single game, no matter what. So yeah, it's definitely a case of we want to perform and be toe to toe with the best.
Yeah, is that an exciting prospect for you as well on a personal level of being able to kind of help contribute to building that identity and what that might look like?
Oh, absolutely, and I think in that space where actually a lot of people have left, it provides a bit of opportunity for you to sort of step up, and whether that be through performance or leadership or any other which way, it provides a sort of exciting opportunity where you can go, actually, I'm going to be the one where people go like, oh, like Manny's playing really well today. Like I'm gonna let's go now. Like I raise a sort of bar. So yeah, that's exciting. That bit's very exciting for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw back over to Simon for his standard question that we ask everyone.
Yeah. So, Manny, basically, who is the best player you've ever played with? I know you're only young still, but you've still played with some amazing players. Who would you like to play with? And who was the player you looked up to that got you into the game?
Okay. Okay. Best played with. I want to say someone else because I want to give him, but I can't get him out of my head. But I have to say Courtney, and I think a lot of boys
every player
I've ever played with.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a different answer. I want to be different and give you a different, but he is genuinely the best player that I've ever played with in terms of defensively, puts his body on the line. attacking. He's so silky. He's one of the silkiest players I've ever played with in terms of ball skills, knowing how to beat a defender. Yeah, best player I've played with. Who got me into the game? There's a player called Louis Piquemons.
Oh, what a player!
Yeah.
What a
Player. When I was number 8, he was genuinely holy grail player. He was unbelievable. He would break tackles and offloads. He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely got me into the game in terms of I used to watch his highlights before games, going out with
He was absolutely amazing. He only had him for one season, but he was standout. He was absolute. We were gutted that he had to leave, but his family weren't settled, were they? But yeah, what a player that man was.
And sorry, what?
Who would you like to play with? So it could be
Yeah.
in the front row or anywhere in your team. It doesn't matter. There's like.
Yeah. I would love to play with a player like Peter Steph the Toy. Yeah.
Hell of a back row you've picked there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Just picking about the comments you put on Courtney and how he was obviously phenomenal defensively, and then you talked about his silky attacking skills, etc. I mean, we're a bit longer in the tooth than you, so we remember when he was 18 coming through the academy, and we watched him throughout, sort of thing. And those skills are the skills he didn't start with. He got there, towards he was playing last season. He had the complete all round game, playing some of the best rugby anyone can watch anywhere in the world, sort of thing. But he developed those over time, getting better and better and better. Seeing someone like that in the flesh, in training every day, and to seeing them get better as you've trained with them, is that what do you see as a young player seeing that? Is that pure inspiration? Is it shows you the limit is limitless, sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of that is obviously playing with Courtney for the last couple of seasons. I haven't seen his journey, so I haven't seen him grow up. I haven't seen him train. I haven't seen sort of different parts. But what I can say is, in terms of how he manages his body and what he does in training, and just the type of professional that he is, those type of things have made him or helped him be the player he is. And watching those things are the sort of points where I'm like, wow. Because I think when you watch a player like Courtney, especially when you haven't watched him grow up, you sort of just think that he's better. He's just naturally better than everyone. Like you just think he was already like that from 18. He was just a wonder kid. That's exactly how he was. But if you'd watched him develop him develop, and you've watched him in training, you sort of can understand why he's the way he is in terms of how smart he is at picking off defenders, or how smart he is in defense. Like he's played so many games, and you just build that intelligence. So yeah, it's really interesting watching that.
And sort of applying that to yourself, what parts of your game do you feel that you want to work on, take to the next level, sort of thing, to hit those targets that you want to hit?
I want to become more of a balanced player. I think when you look at certain players, you instantly sort of by default like to compartmentalize players. You either call them a defensive player or they're attacking player. You look at Ellis Gaines, like he's a massive attacking player. He's got really good defense, but he is a ball carrier, really good at ball carrying, got good footwork. And you don't necessarily draw your eyes to other parts of his games. And I think part of being a world-class player, like we spoke about Tide Furlong earlier, is that you can do it all. Set piece, unbelievable. Attacking, he's throwing missed passes off his left hand, and defensively, he's banging people. And I think if you got those three as a international prop lockdown, then you're looking at being 100 capper. So it's just about being balanced, and part of that is looking at one part of your playing style in terms of defense and just hammering it. You might not have anything else to go for, but you just have to work on defense until it's locked down. Then you can go, actually, I'm going to work on my ball carrying. I'm going to work on my carries now, and then you just hit that. So yeah, it's about becoming a more complete player.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't know if you saw it the other day, but that sort of 40-yard pass that he threw out to the wing the other day, tag Furlong. I mean, he's definitely a player to aim for. Obviously, though, that he's a tight end, but yeah. Okay, so we've covered off rugby. That's been really great, amazing, Manny. But we'd love to get to know you behind the scenes. What's Manny Iyogun into outside of rugby?
Great question. What am I into? I always find this funny because it honestly always draws mind blanks. Whenever someone asks you what your hobby is or like what you like to do, you're like, oh, well, what do I actually like to do? I took up a law and criminology degree a few years ago, which I've deferred at the minute. But I really like crime. I learned about judicial sentences and law in general. Just true crime podcasts and stuff like that I really love, which I know a lot of people are into. And I'm also doing a mechanics course, which is a bit of a segue. Doing a car mechanics course, which I'm finding really interesting. Love cars, love learning about cars. From
a car point of view, then, what favorite car?
That's a great question. I'd have to go for a Bugatti Veyron. I think pretty cool car.
Performance over style, German engineering. It might have an Italian badge on it, but it's a VW. Sorry, man, I didn't catch that.
I said horrible to look at now, but performance-wise, full of its time.
And sorry, go on, Jess.
I was just saying, it's interesting because obviously Charles and Simon know me, but my degree was in law and criminology. So you're talking to someone that gets the I love crime and I love true crime, definitely.
Yeah.
My degree, I work in legally as well. My degree was law, so you're the odd one out, I think, Si.
But then, funnily enough, my dad and brother are mechanics, so there's too much overlap here.
There's loads of overlap there.
So, last question. Then go back to So, what's your favourite crime drama then, or crime series?
Well, there's a crime podcast. I have to warn you, it's pretty graphic and very, but it's called Sword and Scale.
Right. Okay.
And it goes through sort of murders and disappearances and stuff like that. But I stick that on in the car for long journeys, and it keeps you absolutely hooked.
See, man, let me just ask one question regarding mechanics, Manny. Are you working on modern or older classic cars?
Modern at the minute. So modern at the minute, with the idea to maybe go towards classics eventually, but so sort of classics are actually quite a lot simpler to work on in terms of how they're made and structurally. Modern cars with sort of new electrics and
plug a computer in, that's it. Press
honestly,
yeah. My brother works in classic car restoration, to get them ready to race, and then my dad does the modern stuff. So yeah, they'd probably have a debate of what's the best between them.
Difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
My first car was an '88 Austin Mini, so it was spark plugs and carburetors. It's nothing like that these days. Yeah.
No, it's not. Not at all.
But anyway, I just love the idea of a loose head prop driving to matches, listening to podcasts about murders. Just firing himself up. Yeah, getting yourself in the mindset for what you're about to do. Yeah.
In a Bugatti Veyron.
Yeah. I just say last question from me though, just to kind of think about: is there someone in the team as well that you hang out with quite a bit outside? Are there some people that you're particularly close to?
I'd say we've got quite a tight knit group in terms of we don't really have don't necessarily have too many cliques. I hang around with Chunya, Tarek. I'm pretty close to. Robbie Smith as well. Trev, front row union. Anyone in the front row, to be honest. But yeah, I'm pretty close to most boys.
Amazing. Well, thanks, Manny, for coming on. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. Really great listen. I'm hoping for everyone at home. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please like and subscribe, follow us on Spotify, and let us know how we're getting on. So thanks very much, everyone. I've been Charles McGilvray. Jess has been Jess. Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much for listening.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.